let's start by introducing SafeDNS. And George, please come on up here. We're delighted to have you. George Deen, SafeDNS, welcome, and thanks a lot for coming and for supporting us. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everyone. First of all, let me thank you for this opportunity to speak in front of the Wi-Fi pioneers and leaders of the industry. Really appreciate that. Hope to make my presentation not that boring so that you don't fall asleep after lunch. So let's have some fun. Well, what's wrong with Wi-Fi security is the issue that I want to talk about today and the issue that I want to raise. Is there something wrong? And what we as the pioneers and leaders of Wi-Fi industry can do about it. So recently I've listened to a speech of an American businessman and investor. His name is Roger McNamee. And he said in his speech that the web has become a digital Detroit. You know what happened to Detroit, right? So, and I agree with him. He said, the web is still a place where you can wander and find really compelling things, but if you don't get certain precautions, you'll get mugged. The web has become dangerous. Isn't that right? There are multiple threats, and I won't be enumerating the threats because I'm sure that you guys know that there are plenty of threats and they emerge on a daily basis. Wi-Fi is among the most vulnerable connectivity solutions right now. We have ransomware, we have malware, we have phishing sites and botnets and everything like this. And threats are evolving on a daily basis. See, they still try to keep the pace with the modern trends, and they become more and more sophisticated day by day. And yes, they become smarter and more tricky, and we as the professionals, we try to keep the pace with ever-evolving threats. But what we forget about in this space is an ordinary user. And I think that's one thing that is wrong with modern Wi-Fi and the web. We forget about ordinary users. So, what I mean by an ordinary user is just your family, for example, your family members. And I'll tell you a story. I have a father-in-law. He's 69 years old. And he still enjoys the web every once in a while. He opens the browser, he goes, just looks for the information he want to find, just looking through some news and, you know, just enjoying the web. But he doesn't know what a malware site is. He doesn't know what a phishing site is. And I don't know if he doesn't have to. He doesn't know it. And every time I come to visit my in-laws, he would come and say, "Hey, George, here's my laptop. Can you look at this? There's something wrong." And I would take his laptop, scan it, and find from 10 to 15 malicious infections on his laptop every time I take it. And it's because he visits all these kinds of websites. You know this, right? Yes, these are the websites you will not go because you know. I will not follow these links because I know. But my father-in-law, he doesn't know it. He believes this advertisement, less wrinkles in only 60 minutes, and he would click it. And what happens next is you get the malicious infections. So what I did, I installed him SafeDNS agent. It's an endpoint application which is installed on any Windows-based PC, and it wouldn't allow you to go to the places you shouldn't go on the web. It's installed on top of an antivirus. So an antivirus usually cures already infected machine, right? And this one, SafeDNS agent, would not allow you to even get infected. So it's another layer of security for endpoint devices. And it all went smoothly, okay? My father-in-law was happy. He said, well, that works fine. I'm enjoying the web, and he stayed protected until we gave him a smartphone. Yeah, I gave my in-laws a couple of smartphones, for my mother-in-law and for my father-in-law, and it all started anew. Just, browsing, opening these links, and it all started to repeat this. So I was thinking, what is the source of all these threats, and where are they coming from? So I began to analyze, and I realized that all this is coming from a Wi-Fi, which are they using at home, right? And what is the source of all Wi-Fi? It's a router. Every home, every office, every enterprise would have a router. Whether it will be an enterprise level router or a home router, but it's a router anyways. It's the source of all Wi-Fi. And most vendors and most routers would never do anything about security of an end user, and that is what's wrong with Wi-Fi security. So I took the router which my father-in-law had, and it was just one of those routers which an ISP would give you, along with the packet of internet that they provide. It was a piece of junk. I couldn't change the DNS. There were no security settings, and I just threw it away. And most routers miss the following: no protection tools against malware and phishing sites, no botnet protection. Some routers would allow you to block only HTTPS sites, but we all know that more than 50% of websites are HTTPS based. There are no granular settings for parental control and web filtering. On these small routers that an ISP would give you, you cannot configure web filtering for your kids. You cannot set up parental controls. Well, it's not a parental control when I'm trying to, protect my father-in-law. It's already, a children control over parents. But anyways, there is nothing to do that. No customized per device filtering. Because, you would not like to have your iPhone filtered. You would like to access everything because you know exactly where to go and where not to go. But for example, my nephew with his tablet, sometimes he goes to the places where he shouldn't go. And I would like to have a customized filtering rule for his tablet. And setting up a router, and especially security controls, is a task for a system administrator, not an ordinary user. Yes?
You should add one more point to this. A lot of ISPs, they get incredibly crazy when you start changing something.
Exactly.
Especially here in Thailand.
Exactly. They would not allow you. And I think that is wrong. Because, I think that we are at the stage of Wi-Fi development and router development where we need to change this. Because the internet is too dangerous already, okay? It's enough. The game is over. We need to filter it. We need to, limit the usage for some categories of users. There should be, in our opinion, as SafeDNS experts, we think that what is missing is personalized customer experience. Because there are different types of customers. There's my father-in-law, and there is a system administrator of a network. Those are different users. But they all need a security at some point. It should be easy to deploy and simply to set up. And not allowing you to change the security settings is not right. Wi-Fi is an ecosystem for all connected devices. So ideally, and sometimes I think it's already there, ideally you should have one application on your mobile device allowing you to enable and disable security controls for all your devices, whether you're at home, in your office, or on an enterprise level. You should be able to control your security. Security is an inbuilt feature. What is wrong is not even giving a chance for an end user to be secure. And we should make it happen. We should provide users, because we are responsible as the professionals of the industry. And yes, mobile app management, and these guys know this. And I would like to showcase you this Zyxel router very briefly. We have Zyxel as a partner in CIS, and they would take our security module and inbuilt it for all routers sold to schools, colleges, and kindergartens. Now I think that's smart. Every time you give Wi-Fi to a school, you need to have pupils in the school and children protected. And they did it for home devices as well. And they made a poll asking if the people are happy with the parental control tools that were inbuilt in the router. And more than 4,500 people reacted very positively. They said, that's cool, out of 6,000 respondents. They're successfully sold in 4 countries and having a lot of models of routers, having these security controls available for every user, for home user, for enterprise user, and for a school system administrator. He takes this Axel router and just enables security. That's it. The link. These guys understood the necessity to change the game. And we are now partners with The Link, and The Link is launching a series of routers with SafeDNS-empowered parental control tools and web monitoring tools. And I've showcased The Link router on a previous Wi-Fi Now event in The Hague. It was 10 and I was 10. So these guys are the game changer. This little elegant Swedish router, the Vado. Now, in Europe, web filtering is not something obligatory by law. And there is not a case like Zyxel and CIS where content filtering is required by law. The Vado thing, the guys from the Vado, they just thought it might be a good opportunity to add value to their devices. And they inbuilt SafeDNS to their interface. And now every user can just literally, I can show you this router on our stand. Every user can just click Enable Safety on your router. As simple as that. And not only home routers. We work with enterprise-level routers because you need security at all levels. It's not about home only. For example, Feldcom, they make routers. I think they're Swedish and Sweden-based, but they make routers for buses. And they inbuilt our module to allow people to be secure and to use secure Wi-Fi while they are just moving around in a bus. Now, there are plenty of other routers that router manufacturers that we are working with, but the thing that I want to say is it's time to change the security in your router. It's not about adding value. It's not just about adding value. Yes, it says without CAPEX because our firmware is open source. You can just go, take the SafeDNS module, and actually use it on any device. Entering new markets. When I'm saying new markets, is especially countries where web filtering is obligatory by law. Some countries are at this level, when they limit the internet for some categories of users. And we help comply with local governmental regulations, partnering with some ISPs on the government level, and providing controls not on a home level, but on an ISP level, on a countrywide ISP level. And of course, it helps to get an edge over competition, especially over those routers without any controls. If you have controls in a router, you win. Now, this is what I call the internet hygiene. This is the concept which I like a lot. We wash our hands before eating. We wash fruits before eating, right? In each apartment, there is a water tap, and water in this tap is filtered before it goes to your home, before it goes to your office, before it goes to any enterprise. Now, this is what should happen with the internet. It should be filtered, and you decide where to filter, either on a home level, on an office level, on a Wi-Fi level, or on an ISP level. This is the concept of internet hygiene. I think now it's totally missing, and that is what's wrong. And we need to have this concept in place, because as I said, the digital Detroit of web is too dangerous and too scary, especially for those people who are most vulnerable. Now, there are some organizations in Europe, in the United States, and all over the world who care about security. And we partner with such organizations as Internet Watch Foundation, which provide child protection in the internet. This is the UK-based organization. We are partners with Friendly Wi-Fi. They provide security for public Wi-Fi. Now we are proud to be partners of the German Youth Protection Organization, and they would block all the bad stuff on the German web. And of course the Children Internet Protection Act in the United States. Now, why do we need to protect children? I have a nephew, he's 7 years old, and he was once found in a closet with his father's tablet. He was watching the ultimate fighting match with all his blood and, teeth falling all over the place. Now, this is not something you want your 7-year-old kid to watch at home, right? And so my brother said, "Hey, George, you work in IT security, what can you recommend?" And guess what? I said, get a smart router, not the piece of junk from the ISP that you have. Get a smart router and enable customized filtering for Andrew, my nephew. That's exactly what they did. It's time for old routers to pass away. Just like we changed our old Nokia 3310 at some period of development to a smartphone, we need to change from the concept of, piece of plastic routers to smart routers, which secure you, your family, and your customers wherever you are, in any network conditions. Time to change the network equipment from archaic to smart. And just like Detroit Police Department, SafeDNS is there to make it happen. Thank you.
Super good presentation, very clear. Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good to have you here. Any questions for George? There's one. Can we have a microphone? Yeah.
First of all,
I think it's working, yeah.
First of all, thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you.
I've got two questions here. The first question goes about protecting your Wi-Fi network using DNS. So, aren't you doing only one kind of protection? Because there are many.
Well, it depends on how deep are you going to integrate the solution. If you integrate it in the router firmware, you can do deep inspections, you can control the web traffic. If you go with the cloud solution, you can only monitor the DNS traffic and filter it somehow.
So it's not necessarily only DNS filtering?
No.
Right. So it's more than that in that case?
It's more than that, yeah. The second question is that we nowadays find that when you want to implement some kind of a parental control and add sites to your block list, more or less it is manual, unless and until you take some paid subscription from some site, which automatically updates all those vulnerable sites and then gives you that level of protection. So what does SafeDNS do in this regard?
Yeah, that's a good question, because some routers would allow you to manually add the websites in the blacklist, but there are, I don't know, thousands, millions of websites. And what we do is we keep an eye on the threats which emerge daily, and we have a database which is live and updated every day. And when you have parental controls from SafeDNS, you are absolutely sure that you are up to date and you are protected from the latest threats, including parental controls. When you enable parental controls, it means that you filter out all the adult content and all the malware. And we have 57 categories of websites, and all of them are daily updated. So that's the benefit. You don't have to add anything manually, although we have this. You can add manually. If you think it's missing, you can add it.
So you do the update on your own, or a user has to go and download?
No, it happens automatically. Once you have it in place, the updates go automatically. So no need to do anything by manually.
That's a question.
Hi. A couple of questions. First off, how much data does it generate on its own for the daily updates? So if I've got this at the end of a sort of a 4G connected backhauled hotspot, how much data is the SafeDNS sending back and forth to update the filter list?
I can only tell you the amount of DNS requests generated by one user on a daily basis, plus minus. It's about 10,000 requests daily.
Right. Okay. And that's so. In other words, the watch list is on the cloud rather than on the actual device. You don't download the whole block list.
No, you don't.
Right,
no,
okay.
no. There's no need to download it. We just take the DNS query and we look up whether it's to the good side or to the bad side.
Does that add latency? That presumably adds another round trip latency to each.
Well,
lookup.
we work to make latency zero. There is zero latency because we have our servers located in almost every country of the world right now. So there is no latency.
And
Well, I mean, speed of light not being infinite. There's, particularly, we're talking about improving latency for milliseconds for a lot of networks now. So it can't be zero. It's got to be something incremental.
Well, it depends on the geographical location because some servers work really fast and some servers would add some milliseconds to your request. Yes, this happens because anyways we have to look up the DNS query. So, but we try to make it insignificant.
so can I just ask you about the deployment options? Because obviously you're now advocating the firmware in the router,
Yes,
which is obviously one of the options that you detailed.
exactly.
But what about, and it looks like mostly consumer grade routers, but what, for example, for enterprise type installations, would you do it the same way or is it done in some other way?
The enterprise routers or just
Yeah.
enterprise environment?
Well, enterprise routers, first of all, but otherwise, and for carriers and so forth, what are the other options?
Well, the simplest option is just to add the IP address of any router to our dashboard. And thus our system will see your router and filter out the DNS request from this very router.
Okay.
This is the case with most American clients. They do not like the firmware for some reason. They simply add the IP addresses and have thousands of routers filtered by IP.
Okay.
But some would rather go deeply and have it on device so that they can not only filter but add value to the device itself.
Right, okay. Yeah, there's a question there. It's good questions here, actually.
Just my personal opinion. I think you are losing the war on filtering because there are add-ons to browsers that can bypass filters, and these are so easy to install. There are also specialized browsers that bypass filters. So what's your answer to that?
First of all, my father-in-law doesn't know what is a proxy server or anonymizer. For this category of users who don't know what it is, it's good. For the tech-savvy users who are trying to bypass the filtering all the time, we have a solution. We have a category which is called proxies and anonymizers. And once you have this category blocked, whatever proxies you are trying to use, you won't be able to bypass the filtering. This is the case in schools. Some children are so tech-savvy, they try to, overcome the filtering and go play online.
Okay.
Some would even do the following. They would, take some translational site, put the website in the, translation section, and then open it in the new section. So there are so many tricks that you can do, but there are always ways to overcome it, but we work on it. And an ordinary user, not a very tech-savvy user, he will be 100% protected. So we know these tricks.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I think my kids are smarter than me.
Yeah, I know. Kids are so smart these days.
True. Generally speaking, true. There's another question here.
Hi, I'd like to know your business model. How do we engage your service? Is by description or how's it work?
Business model, yeah. What's your business model?
It depends on how would you like to use the service. If you just want to use the cloud without integration, you just go to the website, safedns.com, and then you subscribe to a filtering plan for enterprise, for home, for hotspots, for anything. And if you want to integrate it, just contact me.
Thanks.
Good. George, thank you so much for coming, and
Thank you.
really good presentation. Thank you for supporting
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.